Gervonta "Tank" Davis is a peculiar commodity in boxing, a gifted fighter blessed with good amount of athleticism, undefeated in 26 professional fights, with 24 out of those 26 wins by way of stoppage. Tank has an image that, when promoted properly, possesses the quality of a potential star. Yet with all of these things that should be working for him at age 27, nearing his 9th year as a pro, Gervonta Davis is not where he could or maybe even should be at right now. Hey, what's going on, Ringsiders? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, and welcome back to Ringside Stories. Or if you're new, we make content regarding boxing through mini documentaries, backstories, takeaways, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support in advance, and welcome to the channel. Now, if we look up Gervonta "Tank" Davis online, there are many promising search results. Tank's destructive power.
That's why. Lightning quick power.
Tank's skills.
What we saw in a very limited time of Gervonta Davis was quite impressive.
And a documentary, which is an inspirational overview of Gervonta "Tank" Davis's career so far. All of these features are more than worthy of a look, and you can check them out in a link in the description below, as all of these circumscribe Gervonta Davis as a phenomenal boxer. Although a prize fighter is rewarded for his efforts inside the squared circle, it is the perception of fight fans that carve out that prize fighter's legacy. The greatness of any prize fighter is measured by the quality of his opposition, the amount of risk that prize fighter takes, and most importantly, being involved in fights that fans want to see him in. Going by these standards, Gervonta Davis cannot be considered a top 10 fighter pound for pound. His talent, boxing skills, and even Tank's performances should make fight fans crave Gervonta Davis's fights and mention with the very best at the upper echelons in boxing. Instead, he simply is not.
Boxing world is so excited about this young man, as well as Floyd Mayweather.
One must beg the question, what is going on with Gervonta "Tank" Davis's career? Let's get into it. Number 1, make-believe world titles. Gervonta Davis has held titles in 3 different weight classes. It must be said, however, 2 of them possesses an asterisk side. In his latest fight on Sunday, December 4th, 2021, Tank successfully defended his 135-pound WBA regular world title against Isaac Cruz. With all of the world titles in circulation, the WBA especially, it is easy to fall prey to one's achievement. 2 weeks prior, Australia's own George Kambosos Jr. upset the apple cart, defeating then undefeated and unified world champion Teofimo Lopez, who beat the consensus number 1 at 135, Vasyl Lomachenko, in October of 2020, meaning Kambosos' win over Teofimo Lopez on November 27, 2021 made Ferocious the man to beat, holding, for lack of better terms, the real WBA world title at 135 pounds. Also, Tank won that same minor WBA regular world title 5 pounds north at super lightweight or junior welterweight, when Tank beat then undefeated yet unheralded Mario Barrios in June of 2021. Again, that title holds zero significance, as 2021 has made the history books with the Tartan Tornado, aka Josh Taylor, conquering the super lightweight division, becoming the undisputed world champion. So although it's true Gervonta Davis has won world titles in 3 divisions, the harsh reality is that 2 of these divisions Tank held titles in are not considered real world titles. How can Tank Davis be considered a top 10 fighter pound for pound when he hasn't won nor defended a real world title in the last 2+ years? Number 2, significant fights. Boxing is a sport of who is who. Who did you beat to justify your greatness? And also, what have you done for me lately? Taking a look at Gervonta's body of work at super featherweight, Tank scored a highlight reel knockout over Leo Santa Cruz, who held world titles in 4 weight divisions. However, in keeping up with the theme, what have you done for me lately, Leo Santa Cruz hadn't fought a fighter of note for years himself and picked up a vacant belt at super featherweight in the process. From January 14, 2017, when Gervonta Davis became a 12-round fighter, Tank had 7 fights in the 130 pounds division, yet failed to secure any significant fights against his contemporaries, the likes of then WBC world champion Miguel Berchelt, IBF champion Tevin Farmer, Jamel Herring, who held the WBO version of the world title, or Herring's predecessor Vasyl Lomachenko. All of these top fighters claimed their stake in the super featherweight division that Tank was part of for over 3 years, yet Gervonta Davis hasn't fought any of these top guys up until today. which has been a reoccurring theme in Tank's latest outings at 135 and 140 respectively. Unheralded opponents, a far cry from the top guys, much less the division's world champions, which goes to prove that winning those WBA regular titles at 135 and 140 in the grand scheme of things mean absolutely nothing. Number 3, Tank's attitude. Davis versus Cruz was an entertaining fight in which Tank showed he isn't all flash. However, his 23-year young opponent Isaac Cruz made it a tougher fight than anyone had anticipated prior. In context, we're talking about a 23-year young who is unproven at the highest level, ironically just like Gervonta Tank Davis himself, and still gave Tank a bigger challenge than anyone expected prior to the fight.
Does this deserve a rematch?
Hell no, but I appreciate him taking the opportunity to bring.
Could you see this fight being fought again?
No, it was a good, competitive, solid fight. That doesn't want a rematch. Tank outboxed him and beat him. There was never any doubt in my mind that he had won the fight.
When Tank was asked about how he sees his chances against the other top fighters, including the current world champions in the 135-pound division, Tank said,
all them guys is easy work. They easy work, man. Easy work. I'm the top dog.
Self-belief and confidence must be in a prize fighter's blood for him to have any chance of success in a sport as lethal as boxing. However, words without action don't make for any world championship and can only hurt one's legacy more than it can enhance. Being the best means beating the best, or at the very least the desire to fight the best. Just like in recent memory, Gervonta Davis has shown a lack of ambition to test himself against the best of the division that Tank seems to be campaigning at for right now, that being lightweight.
I can't just, go out here and say, I want to fight this guy, I want to fight this guy. That's why you don't never hear me calling nobody out, because I'm supposed to do my job to fight whoever's in front of me. You know what I mean? I feel as though I'm the top guy to prove it. So they call me out, and, when the time comes, they come.
The potential is there, the track record is not, and Gervonta Davis's attitude seems to be that of contentment as opposed to hunger and ambition. Number 4, the A side. Now, it is easy to blame the fighter for not taking on all comers. However, a fighter has representatives to match him properly for him to make the biggest fights. And so yes, some has to do with the people Gervonta has chosen to be represented by. As scripture states in Amos 3 verse 3, can two walk together unless they be in agreement?
What Tank is showing you, because some of the media have criticized him, say that he hadn't fought anybody. He putting asses in the seats.
And Leonard Ellerbe has a point if boxing was all about business, or at least before sports achievements, which Gervonta Tank Davis does not have the profile to be able to be considered business before boxing. Amongst hardcore boxing fans, Tank does not have the credibility, i.e. he hasn't fought a who is who, at least not recently. At the same time, Gervonta Davis does not have the mainstream appeal to demand the attention of a household name or to be able to command respect as a genuine star in boxing. The proof is in the receipts.
I don't think about nothing. I don't think, because all roads lead through Tank. Tank is the biggest star out of any of those guys. Any of them. They're not even on his level. None of them. None of them. At 30 or 35, none of them. They're not. I mean, look, can any of them sell any tickets?
Ellerbe swears Gervonta Tank Davis is a boxing star, the proverbial A-side, yet has zero proof to show for.
We want to turn this young man into a global superstar. And he's definitely on the right path. He continues to follow the lead and follow direction, and he's going to fight we're going to make the biggest fights out there possible. And with the biggest fights mean you got to fight the best fighters out there. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Making the big fights means mixing it with the division's champions, or at the very least, legit top 10 competition. Since boxing is separated by promotional outfits, TV networks, etc., Team Davis has to either A, pay for the biggest fight to come to them, or B, work together with their rival promoters.
And fuck Eddie Hearn. Fuck Eddie Hearn. We're here to talk about Isaac Cruz. We got a big pay-per-view fight on December the 5th.
Could you whoop Eddie Hearn?
I'll knock that motherfucker cold out. Period. And I wish he would, man. Come on, don't get me started.
Leonard Ellerbe says he will smoke Eddie Hearn.
I'm telling you, y'all be asking questions. Y'all can get that boy fucked up. I'm telling you, I don't play them type of games. I don't play them type. See, they might do that over there. I don't play them type of games.
Whilst Tank's promoter speaks plenty of fighting words, though mildly entertaining, his client isn't getting the fights he needs. In fact, many will argue Gervonta Tank Davis hasn't fought anyone of note since beating Jose Pedraza back in January of 2017. And so Tank's undefeated record might look good for now. He might draw a bit of a crowd on fight night. Unless Tank's team fails him to make the big fights, it will only be a matter of time before Gervonta Tank Davis's career will be a thing of the past, and talks about what coulda and should have been Tank Davis's career, as opposed to how Gervonta Davis's potential translated into great fight nights of boxing and a legacy a prize fighter can get behind. Number 5, Floyd Mayweather, the promoter. Now, I know when you got someone in your corner like Floyd Mayweather, it could be hard to deny his sway and experience, especially when he says he has your back.
I need this 10, 11, and 12 on the unofficial. He's down. Okay. You say unofficial. On the unofficial. I'm 100 with you. That's what you want from me. You don't want nobody lying to you.
However, that same Mayweather, who as an active fighter had a proven track record of taking the spotlights, let's say he hasn't forgotten to do the same even whilst being retired.
They don't want to see Tank win because they feel like it's beating me because I dominated the fight game for so long. I was able to change the sport of boxing, and so I'm happy that I was able to get involved with the sport and change it and take it to that next level. Man, and I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Motherfucker easy, man. Cakewalk, easy. Tank got his followers from kicking ass. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
So Mayweather, who, if he's not talking about his own career, his own achievements in the past, finds priority talking about other fighters as opposed to shining his light on Tank Davis, or at the very least, properly promote his protege. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is an all-time great whose boxing acumen speak for itself, just like his ability to generate money in his heyday. As a fighter, Money May played boxing's villain and got people to care about his fight one way or another. That ploy, however, clearly isn't working as a promoter because it's about the fighter and not the promoter. And as a promoter, it's your job to get your fighter the fights he needs to, as Floyd himself always put it, grow on to bigger and better thing. As long as Gervonta Tank Davis isn't fighting the fights that could garner interest to a wider audience, he will not be the star he has the potential to become. As long as Tank isn't matched with the best of his contemporaries, he will not be able to stake his claim as one of the sport's best. And as long as Tank Davis isn't beating his contemporaries, i.e. the real world champions at 135 or 140, Gervonta Davis has zero claim to be mentioned as a top 10 fighter pound for pound. These are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to this channel, we cover boxing and combat sports through mini documentaries, backstories, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks in advance and welcome to the channel. If you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that. You are the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, this is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.